So moving forward, as I said, we will be talking about target archery and qualifications, eliminations, and medal matches. Okay, so I hope most of you are practicing judges at home. Because these rules are basic, I was a little surprised at the results of the stress test. Earlier this morning, there was some funny stuff going on there. But I think basically because of the English, maybe, I don't know. So when we go to the qualification round, everybody, all of you, I would think, know that it consists of what? So it consists, it's right there in front of you, 72 arrows, two rounds, yeah, two faces at 6 ends each, ends of 6 arrows, and then shot at what? 70 meters for recurve, under 21, and the open category. And all the others, for compound, at what distance? 50 meters. And what's the size of your target face? 80 centimeters. Okay, and the bare bow is there too. Now, indoors, you had this in the test. How many arrows? 60 arrows. 60. 2 faces, 10 ends each, ends of 3 arrows at 18 meters on 40 cm target face. And the compound target face, they have a smaller size 10 ring compared to the recurve. And what is now the timing to shoot? 30 seconds per arrow. Here's a tip for you in the exam. You should basically know, in the qualification round, how many arrows do you shoot per end? 6. If it's 30 seconds per arrow, how many all in all for one end? 180 seconds. So you can now answer the question. And it goes the same way for everything else. If it's in the eliminations, you have 3 arrows. We're talking about individual. 90. So there's the tip for you. In case, I don't know. I don't know what's going in the exam. So just for them to know, a tip. Now, the scorecard. This is what like a scorecard looks like in a world ranking event. And what are the important things here? Of course, the score.
Total sum. Extra. Number of tens and X is or 10 and 9 is indoor.
Correct. Now, those are very important. That being said, it's still the responsibility of the archer to make sure that everything is filled in. They have the totals, the sum totals, the totals of the tens, and the number of X and 10, and of course the signature of each archer and whoever is the scorer on that target. Because if you don't have the total, sum total, what happens? So they will be disqualified. Yeah, even on the first round. So you need these numbers, you need these signatures. These are the 2 key things that have to be there. That's what results we'll look for. Because I hate it when Mateo calls on Karla, can you come here to the results? And then I know already what's going to happen. And it's not a nice thing for me to do because I have to sign off the disqualification.
And you have to tell them.
And yes, I have to face the coach with their archers and tell them they have no total, no signature, so I'm sorry, you are disqualified. You're DQ'd. Okay? Now, the totals for the X's and the 10s, if there's no total here, what happens? Nothing will be recorded. It's a 0, but they're not disqualified. Okay? But they are not counted. Maybe they're going after the record. Poor guy, he will have no record. Even if he hit that. Okay?
Sometimes the archers write the total on the top, not the total this.
Well, please ask them to put it in the boxes. Okay? Yeah, it's as maybe you're talking about nationals or in your country, and that's good training that you give them, that you teach them where to put the totals. Okay? And you as the judge, help the archers that before these scorecards reaches the results team, remind them to please check if they have put their totals in, if they have all signed. You can even check if you want, if you don't have so many targets, as a service to them. Because our primary job is to make sure that the games are fair, and also that the archers are able to perform at their best. Okay, and it's just because they forgot, they're disqualified. So, as a service, then I would encourage you to help them out. Okay? So now we're going to talk about ties in the qualification round. And I think there was some confusion again in the stress test because you confused ties in so many other areas. You have to be careful. Read the question well so that you give the correct answer. Okay, so in this case, for the top 60, 428 archers for our outdoor and top 32 for indoor, they are selected for the elimination. And for the teams, it's top 24. There was a question earlier, top 16. You don't do shoot-off for that because it's top 24 teams. Okay, you will do it if there's a tie from maybe 23, 24, 25, or 24 and 25 are both 24. Okay, now if there is a tie for the purpose of ranking, then what do you do? Or what does results do?
Tens and X's.
For the
Yeah.
outdoor, tens and X's, and indoor, tens and nines.
Yes. And if they're still tied,
Can we use your
coin toss. Okay? And if, like this is the example. On top there with the blue, if you can see it at the back, their scores are both 613. So they are tied for 14th and 15th place. And so what they did was just simply to count the tens and X's, and then they're still tied, and so they did a coin toss. Okay, and for the second example, you have the top 32, you have 3 people tied for the 32nd, 31, 32, 33. You have 3 people, so you need to take out 1. Okay? Because you need 32. And so what do? Shoot off. Shoot off will take place. And they did that, and fortunately, they had different scores in the shoot off. Okay, but you need to eliminate only 1. Okay. Now the brackets. These are nice diagrams. Okay, and for individuals, top 32 archers without buys for outdoor world championships or world ranking events. Top 104 archers with top 8 archers getting buys for 2 rounds. For the outdoor World Cup, without buys for top 8, top 64, if the total number of participants is less than 104. And the top 128 archers, if the total participants are greater or more than 104. Okay? And for indoor, the top 16 will be chosen without buys. For outdoor, top 24 with top 8 having 1 round bye. Any tie for the above positions will lead to a shoot-off. Now, what do you do when there is already a shoot-off? For individual ties, it will be one single arrow shoot off on a target in the middle of the field on neutral targets. What does neutral mean? Okay, none of the archers use those targets so that none of them have an advantage. For mixed teams, the shoot off will consist of, for teams and mixed teams, for teams, it of course, 3 archers. For mixed, the top 2, shooting 1 arrow each on 1 target butt, simultaneously for score.
30 seconds.
Yeah, and what is the timing?
30 seconds.
30.
Yes,
30.
They are all together.
Yes, shooting simultaneously, 30 seconds. And of course, if they're still tied, and
Total, then the closer to the center.
For example, if the mixed team shoots 10 and 8, and the other, so team A 10 8 and team B 9 9, they are total. The totals are 18 18.
yeah,
But
what do you do next?
Will win. 10
Closer.
8. The team A will win because 10 is closer than a 9. If you have situation 9 9 9 9, you have again the cumulative. The total score is the same. But the things you have to check, and if there is a visible difference, the close the center wins. If it's not visible difference, you
have to
and
measure.
compare which one is closer.
Correct.
If the first arrow of both of the teams is the same, you measure and compare the second one. If still the same, then it's another shoot-off.
Yeah. Basically, that is the process. Is that clear? Okay. Now, in both cases, if the distances are tied, then successive shoot-offs, as she mentioned, will happen till the winner can be decided. And which is so unlikely to happen, that in the team 3 of them, they need to go another, but if that is necessary, then you do another shoot-off. Okay? Now, for individual shoot-off in compound, what is the target setup? Yes, so no longer 2 target faces, but 1 target face. And here is our favorite topic, how to measure the distance from the cross of the target face and call close to the center arrow. So this is basically the procedure. You'll find this in the guidebook, in many newsletters. So you, in a shoot-off, of course, you need a caliper or your divider. You must have them, and you must be able to know how to use your caliper. Don't go to a competition and you've never used it before and you've never practiced using it before, because when a tie will happen, you've got to be prepared. We had a case in the World Cup in Shanghai just a couple of weeks ago. And what happened was the national judge, because there were several ties, and so we couldn't get all the red shirts or the international judges to do the ties. We had to get some national judges as well. And Hossein was my deputy, and he would go down every end and he would oversee while I stayed on the line and talked to whoever people I needed to talk to. It's not fun being chairman, by the way. The judge came to the targets, and Hossein was, as they were walking, Hossein was reminding her how to do the call. Maybe that got her nervous. And when she got to the target, she was shaking, very nervous, and she had the wrong side. And when she did the first target, because the teams were on separate targets, these were 70 meters, mixed team, and when she was about to measure, in comes Batman, Hossein. He gets the caliper and he does the thing. There is this new rule that the chairman of judges or the deputy can step in and overrule. There was no ruling yet, but he saw that a mistake was going to happen, and he took action. And that was a good thing, because after that, well, of course, the team that lost complained. Because why did another judge do that? It's not the procedure. He wrote a complaint in Spanish, which I did not understand. So, but he wrote that to the event director. And the event director investigated everything, talked to all the people. And here's the funny thing, because nowadays social media is big. We have a social media manager in World Archery, and they have access to the field. And they are videotaping a lot of stuff. And so that was another contributing factor in why Hussein stepped in, because that was being broadcasted. It was China. I didn't even have Facebook or WhatsApp, or I had nothing. But the people outside of China were watching. And so he stepped in. And so those are the things that you think about, because it is so public now. You make a mistake, it's up there on Facebook, on YouTube. Forever. Okay? It can be taken down, but people can already download it or take a screenshot or something. So you really need to be prepared when you go there. I think Morton would be very happy with that development. Because I remember we would be scared. We'd go to a competition and I don't know, he knows everything that happens. He would message if something funny was going on, and I had no idea how he knew. So he's the original Batman. He's a wonderful mentor, one of the best. So, if you're using the caliper, remember to use this side up, okay? But do you need to use this all the time?
Unless you cannot see the difference.
Okay. So, if you can see visibly which arrow is nearer the center, then call it. Call it. You don't need to measure. If they pressure you, the archers sometimes, because that also happened, they pressured the judge to use a caliper, it is your decision whether to use a caliper or not. Because if you can see visibly which arrow is closest to the center, then call it. Right away, you don't need to bring this out. Okay, but if you are not able with your naked eye or eyes, because you have two, if you're not able to see a difference, then by all means, please use your caliper. Do not be scared to use it. That's why you will practice. Because I know judges who will avoid not using the caliper because they are not confident in using it. So they will try to call, even if it's so close. You have to serve the archers. And your purpose is to make sure the games are fair, not to you, but to them. Okay? But when you do give the signal, make sure you step in front of everybody and give this. Make sure everybody else is behind you. There is no one in front of you, no one beside you. And give the signal. And hold that signal for 5 seconds. I know you look stupid there. But that is important for people to see over there because they're not watching all the time. Okay? And then, most of the time, we are given radios. And then you radio the DOS for who is the winner of the match. Now, as we said, it is not the judge's obligation to measure between the cross and the distance of the arrows. If it is clear to you that one arrow is closer than the other, then you decide on the winner without measuring. So here is a photo. I can see because I'm near, so I can see who is the winner there. Okay? And I wouldn't measure these targets or these arrows. It's quite close, but there is a discernible difference. Okay? Now, do not use sometimes the calipers have a digital device. You don't need the exact measure. You just need that distance. Okay? And which one would you measure first?
The one who sits closer to the center.
Yes. Okay. I think you know this guy. Yeah, he was collecting money earlier. No, this is David. Okay, and he's putting one end using the top one, right? From the okay, I'll be on this side. From the X, and then to the part of the arrow that is nearest the X for the other end. You try not to touch anything. You don't want to touch the arrows. You don't want to touch the paper. You try to avoid touching anything. You just go as close as you can, as possible, and then you measure the one that looks closest. And then when you've done that, you lock your caliper. You go to the other arrow to measure. And if there is a space, sometimes you need to rotate to find if there is a space. Those are techniques. Then you will be able to tell which one is nearer. Okay? Now, here are some new rules for world ranking events, World Cups, World Championships, and multi-sports events. As you all know, this is not so new because this came into effect last year. As you know, there is no longer the rule to be able to do makeup arrows and also equipment failures or medical problems. But makeup arrows are still allowed for situations like if a target buttress falls over, that's still there. Okay? You must remember, this is for makeup and medical emergencies. What do you do if there is a bouncer? Okay, so you will have a delay there still. Okay? What about the 3-meter line procedure? Okay, I think this is a great rule because they've simplified and they made things more consistent between the qualification round and the elimination round for the judge, because we only have one procedure in this case. Okay, if the archer calls, let's say 3-meter line, you tell the archer, decide. You decide, and so he shoots because he decides that it is within, and then after you can check from his position on the shooting line. You know, his height, you have to take that into consideration as well, because it may look different if the guy is taller than you or shorter than you. So and if you cannot tell if it is inside, what do you do? Okay, so you look from the 3-meter line and check from there. Okay, but that is if you cannot see. So your first option is to be here on the shooting line where the archer stands. Okay, what are the judge duties for the qualification round? So of course, number one is safety. Whether it's field archery, para archery, or regular event, safety is of the highest priority. That includes high or side draw. And I just want to make mention here about the high draw. It depends where you are. There's no set, 25 degrees is high draw. No, there is no standard. It depends where you are, how high the backstops are behind the targets. Like in China, in Shanghai, it was a stadium. And nobody was there up in the stadium. It was really high. So if I were the judge, I would give more leeway than if let's say you were in another venue, maybe in the World Championships, where there were 4 meters above the target, then I would give more leeway. I wouldn't call it closer for the high draw. There were some which were borderline, but I let it go because of the venue. But I did tell the coach, please be careful. Tell your archer, because we were going to go to the finals field. Of course, it was still very high, the back wall, but you know, it's good to make them aware that you are seeing something, okay, and that they would be careful. So what else should you be doing as a judge during qualification round? Of course, yeah, you do arrow calls. You handle issues related to number of officials. This is another favorite, which I don't think we should be doing, but you know, we have to do it. So how many officials can you have? Yeah, it depends on things. Basically, it's 1 per archer, but that's
If there are more than 2 athletes in each category in the field, they can add 1 official for each category.
Did you memorize the rule book? Okay. Now, if there is, because you could have a field and you could have women, recurve women, let's say, recurve men, and then you would have compound men, and they're all there. But you cannot go beyond 6. Okay? And it's really difficult because sometimes there's a fine line. A match, an elimination round has just finished, so the archers are packing up, but they need to vacate as soon as possible so that when the next elimination round happens, then the area should be clear. And I see this many times, that judges are not aware of the officials because their concentration is in front of them. Would you please look to your sides? It just takes a glance. And there are some other funny things that an archer, not a coach, would be standing there. You need to check if they have an upgrade card. They pay for that. The last time it was $30 or 30, whatever the currency was. But you have to check. And if they don't have it, you can politely tell them to go to the accreditation office to get an upgrade card. Okay, so what else? We deal with bouncers, pass-throughs, hanging arrows, shots made out of time, before or after time, 3-meter line issues, make-up situations, if any, and then timing issues, the sound and the visual aids. When you are there, this is qualification. And normally we are seated along the media line. What are you looking at? Yeah, you're looking at a lot of things. You're looking at the timers as well, if they're properly working. And we had this situation again in Shanghai. It was my most exciting competition, just when I'm about to retire. It's never happened before, these many issues. For some reason, the clock did not move, did not turn green or did not count down to start the shooting. So, of course, the archers didn't shoot because it didn't turn green or nor did it count down. So I went there in front and I said, stop. So, okay, everybody stopped. Now the problem came when the clock restarted, the sequence was wrong. CD was supposed to shoot, but it showed AB. So there was another problem there. Yeah, this was a worse one because the first one was easy. Okay, everybody stopped. This time, because I was on the left side of the field, and when I saw that, here I go again. Stop it, I'm a little scared because it already turned green. And I had to be careful. Now the men's side stopped, but the women, some had shot 1 arrow, some had shot 2. So we had to deal with that. By the way, how do you deal with that? So I tried to communicate that over the radio to the judges. And of course, I had my best deputy ever. I was on one end, he did the other end, and we met in the middle, and we dealt with it. It took less than 5 minutes, I believe. Not longer than that. And so there was a slight delay, and we did exactly that, and we continued from there. Okay? Well, it's not here, but that's another thing to think about, and for you to know how to handle such issues. So again, that means remain alert about any timing issue. Okay? Now check the archer's position online and height of telescopes. As mentioned, before the start of the competition, you are given assignments by your chairman or your deputy, right? What targets to handle. And you are given a start list. So please check if your archers are there and if they are on the right position before everything starts. And you do this to avoid any problems later because they are in the wrong position or they are not there. Okay? Then of course we are to deal with the height of the scope. How high should it be?
The highest portion
Okay,
of the scope shall be under the athlete's arm.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Are you a lawyer? Yes.
I will paraphrase, but she's exact.
But if 2 archers are using the same scope, then we use
The shorter one. Yes, that's correct, and that was also mentioned here. Okay? Yeah, I will call you the book.
Walking book.
So, we also deal with shoot-offs and target face replacements. As judges, it is your call whether to change a face or not. And these days, we're trying to be green and environmentally friendly. If we don't need to change a face, we don't change it unless it is, you can't tell. There are areas where so many arrows have hit and the line is almost gone, and you want to avoid problems, so you have the face changed. Okay? Okay, now here's another exciting part of judging. It's the multi-phase scoring. Check if there are multiple arrows in the center. For example, this is indoor. This is the process, basically. When you have errors in multi-phase scoring, this is your process. Okay, each arrow is assigned a value. Now check if there are multiple arrows in one center. How many arrows should be in one center? We're talking about indoor.
One.
Only one. If you see 2, what do? So remove the highest and becomes an M. Okay, and then after that, check if there are more than 3 arrows. For example, there are 4 arrows were shot. So what do you do now? Okay, you take the lowest 3, including the M that you had already put there. And if for some reason they shot out of time maybe or out of sequence, what do?
Cross over the highest score.
Okay, you take off. So that is your process or your procedure every time you look at a multi-phase scoring situation and that you see there is not a normal 1-1-1. Okay? There's 1 arrow on top, in the middle, there are 2, there's none at the bottom. So, is that correct?
No.
7 mm? No. What is the correct score? 10? Very good. Okay, and that's a total. Second example. Okay, now there's more things going on here. Okay, so is that correct, the result? 998. So what do? The middle has 2 arrows, so you remove the highest scoring arrow, make it an M. So now you have 998M. Okay, and then you have 4 arrows there, not 3. You take the lowest 3. Okay, so that's 98M and your total is 17. They put the result 1010M. Is that correct? Yes?
Yes.
You sound sleepy, yes. You're convinced, okay. 2 on top, 2 in the middle, none at the bottom. Is that correct? No. So what is the correct one? 7 mm. Very good. Okay. So you have 1 on top, 2 in the middle, 1 at the bottom, but 1 arrow has been shot after time. How many errors are here? So there are three errors here. So how do you deal with them? In what order? Okay, so you deal with the middle one first because it has 2 arrows. You have 4 arrows, more than 3. So you deal with that, you get the lowest 3. And then 1 arrow was shot after time. So you remove the highest scoring arrow. Okay, and poor guy, his score is only 9. But that's his fault. Okay. And next one. Okay, so 1 arrow on top, 3 in the middle, none below. Is that correct? No. What is correct? Very good. 8 mm. Here's the next one. 1 arrow was shot before time. Is that correct? Obviously not. Okay, so you remove the highest scoring arrow. 87 or M87 is the result. Okay, I think you guys are doing good. Let's go to the elimination rounds. So we've had the qualification, we're done with that, and we're now in the second stage. And the elimination round, you have the elimination round left and the finals round. For outdoors, recurve, the Olympic round is shot, of course, at what distance? 70 meters on 122 cm faces. And how do we score? We use the set system. And what is the maximum to come up with a winner? 5 sets. Or 5 points. Oh, no, 6 points. 6 points, okay? I'm getting ahead of myself. So, maximum 5 sets of 3 arrows and 6 points, set points to win. And there was a trick question there, I think, earlier. Okay? So, I hope you're quick with that. You have to read well. And for compound, it's cumulative scoring. It's shot at, of course, 50 meters on 80 cm, 6-ring target face. And how many ends? 5 ends of 3. Okay, and the one with the highest cumulative score is the winner. And for indoors, it's shot at 18 meters on 40 cm, triple face. You have to be careful. Sometimes the organizer uses, it has a face for the 10 ring, the smaller 10 ring for the compound, and the curry curve is there. I remember in Angelina in Taipei, we had those type of faces, and we had to be aware if we were being target judge for recurve or for compound. Okay. And what is the time for each arrow during eliminations? Still 30 seconds, the same as the qualification round. And of course, the match play positions of the archers on the shooting line will follow the match play chart. Okay, what's the difference from the qualification round? Okay, in match play, arrows rebounding, passing through the butt, or hanging from will not stop the match. They keep going. Okay. At the end of the match, the athletes or their agents must sign the scorecard, and by doing so, they indicate that they agree on the sum total, the number of X's and 10s, and here's the addition: who is the winner. There are boxes there that you check. And here's another thing. I'm not sure, I can't quite recall if I have a scorecard for the match play, but there is now a box for the winner on top. So you make sure that they check that. If there is a shoot-off, there is now also boxes at the bottom for another arrow, one arrow shoot-off. And for the score of that, you can put, and then if it happens to be the same score, let's say 10-10, so you will need to, what? Yes, you have to tick off the one closest to the center. And every time that happens, if the score is the same, whether you measure or not, you as the judge in that shoot-off will need to sign the scorecard. Okay? And then also archers with buys or those who had forfeited matches will advance to the next round of elimination. And they can still continue at their assigned targets, provided that the organizers have space. Because sometimes they don't. Okay? But in that case, they need to provide a practice area for them. So in the eliminations, what are the judges' duties? So again, you check the archer's position against your pairing chart. And you're given this list. Sometimes you're given a PDA by results. So you check if the right people are there. If the names on the nameplates in front of the shooting line, if they are correct. And you don't start anything until everything is verified and correct. Because you don't want to have a match that was not supposed to be a match, played, and they were supposed to play with another athlete. You know, that's a problem. As I say, it's better to prevent than to solve. Because when you're solving, you're too late. You have a problem. So you try to avoid that problem. You try to foresee things. You're proactive. You're not just there standing and wondering what's for lunch or what time it is. You know, being a judge is a serious thing. People, the archers, look up to you. They trust you. I hope they do. That you know what you are doing and you know what is happening and you know what you are supposed to do to keep the competition running well. And so you are there to make sure that things run properly, that it is fair. You check your archer positions, signal the arrows that are shot out of time. You show your... by the way, what do you need in an individual match play? Okay, just a red card. Don't even bring your yellow card on the field with you, because you might make a mistake and bring out the yellow card, and there is no yellow card in individual elimination matches. Okay? So if it's, when do you, of course, if in a team, you need both. Okay, and you're holding them back here. I try to keep the yellow card, the one visible, and the red one under. And sometimes, when you put this at the back, you must know which hand has the yellow and which has the red. Because you might put up, it's a yellow, but you put the red. So I know that you don't need to put up the red anymore. But it's good it's a good indicator for the archers. So normally, I would have this like this. So I know my yellow is on the right and my red is on the left. Okay? Okay, we are to make sure that arrow calls are made and no arrows are left at the targets. Okay? That would be a delay, and that would be a problem. And then we, of course, signal ties and take care of shoot-offs. And you make sure that the proper face setup is present and the cross, as you mentioned, is complete. If the cross on that target has been obliterated or has been hit, then what do you do?
You change both
faces, yeah.
Yes, you need to be fair. So if this one, the cross is obliterated, you change both. Okay? Now, if you need to use a caliper to measure, then do it. But make sure you're comfortable with that. You practiced it. Just a trivia, I've never used it. In my whole career, I have been fortunate. My career's not over yet. I have until December. You never know. Maybe I will. But, I always practiced before. And I make sure I know how to do it. I have to teach. I'm the chairman, so I must know how. Okay? So, make sure you know how to use that. And you are using your own caliper or your own divider. Okay, so the first thing you do when you need to do a measure or an arrow call, make sure they are a distance away from you so you can do your job properly. Okay, don't be shy and tell them to move. Please stand back. And then you start to do your measure or your arrow call procedure. Okay, so once it's clear, you give that. And then you can go and they can do the scoring. Okay? So you can even give the confirmation or the signal even before it is scored. Because it's very clear, the archers are there, you've told them, and then you give the signal. Okay? That is one good development because there is now less mistakes by the target judge. Before, because we were rushed, we needed to give a signal right away, and many times we give the wrong signal. And here's the funny thing. Because you're facing here, okay, for example, target 1 is the winner. And then you turn. You know target 1 is the winner. So you target 1. And then you turn and your hand is there. Oh. So you need to be careful. I do a double take. Okay, target 1 is the winner. I'm looking at the agent, what he is wearing. And I look at the line just to make sure, I know already, but just to make sure, if they're wearing the same uniform, okay. Then I give the signal. There is no more rush. Make sure you do the right signal. So in the match play shoot-off elimination round, of course it's 1 arrow shoot-off per score. If tied, then closest to the center. 30 seconds is time allowed. Both archers shoot simultaneously. So these are basic rules. And for the finals, 1 arrow shoot-off per score. If tied, and closest to the center wins. And how? Because this is alternating shooting. How many seconds?
20.
And the archers alternate, 1 at a time. Now during a shoot-off, during the eliminations and finals round, in the event of a tie, another shoot-off will take place. So successive shots or shoot-offs will take place till a winner can be declared. Now, what are the equipment that are needed in the match play elimination round? So you need those flip score devices to show the set score. And they're placed there below the butt. And for the finals, you have blinds. They will be used by, who can say in the blinds? Judges, scorers, agents, very important.
Runners.
Runners
And
as
the
well.
people changing the target faces.
Yes, the field crew. Sometimes they're out in the sun because you're already too crowded inside.
Sometimes cameraman.
Yeah, you need to manage that, especially if you're the deputy chair. You need to manage, we will go into that later, the positions inside the blinds. Now, in the match play finals, you will need, if this is a world ranking event, you need these scoreboards, electronic scoreboards at each target, showing the arrow scores as they are shot, total score for each set, and the total set scores. Or if it's compound, or cumulative scores. And also there must be the athlete's name, provision for that, and their country. Now, for the finals and medal matches, technically the quarterfinals are the finals, but actually in practice we don't follow this. We do only the medal matches, okay? But for the sake of, because that's still in the rule book. So it's alternating shooting will be used for the medal matches, 1 athlete per target bar. And it's 20 seconds, the time allowed to shoot 1 arrow. Of course, the athletes stay at the line and they have their agents at the targets, at the blinds. And the agents are to withdraw the arrows, to mark arrow holes, sign the score sheet after the match. And the position of the archers on the shooting line, again, will follow the position in the match play charts. And who decides the order of shooting? Who will shoot first?
Higher rank.
Qualification, the highest one.
Okay, the higher ranked archer chooses if he has first choice, whether to shoot first or second. Okay? Now, if there is a tie, the same set scores during the match.
The lowest rank,
The same who started will start that
yes.
The same who started in the first and will be first. And okay, in the other case where it's 2-0, so who is going to start first? The one who is 0, the lower score will start first. Okay? And in fact, since after the Olympics, a wonderful thing, I don't know if Robert is still there?
outside.
Oh, in the Tokyo Olympics, he managed the blinds, and he had a script to tell the agents every time they came to the blinds, to tell them what their duties are. And that made it clear and organized. They knew exactly what to do, exactly where to stand on the platform where the targets are, exactly the sequence of who goes first to the targets and what they are supposed to do. So I've used that script every time I am the chairman. I give that to the deputy, and they do that job at the blinds, and it's been no problem. It prevented many problems, confusions. Timing signals will be given to athletes to proceed to the shooting line. It's 2 beeps. This is individual match play. So when the 2 beeps, you hear 2 beeps, the archer already moves to the shooting line. And then 10 seconds later, 1 beep. That is the signal for them to start shooting. So the first 20-second period for the first athlete starts, and as soon as the first athlete has shot his or her arrow and the score has been posted on the scoreboard, the countdown clock of the other archer starts to indicate that their other archer's 20 seconds begins and they can shoot. Okay, and then there's no more sound signal after that. The archer will need to be looking at the green light or the countdown running down. Then, now you as the judge, you need to look that the clock is working well. It's working properly and there is no safety issue. If the wrong light is, or the wrong side is blinking, then stop. Stop. Go there in front, the shooting line. Tell them to wait and stop. Radio the DOS. Hopefully the DOS is watching you because he's seeing you walking down the line, and a DOS is quick. Okay, he will stop the clock and check and make sure that the right indicator is the one blinking. And here's another thing to look for. The archer does not start drawing the bow before his time starts. They can only bring up the bow arm when their countdown clock starts counting down or the green light turns on. There are some who are quick draws. They're so excited, they bring it up. So what do you do when that happens? Okay, maybe that time you let it go because it's very fast, but get out of your box and tell the coach, warn the coach that your archer is raising the bow arm before the time. So and there's also one other reason why the chairman is at the line and not at the blinds, because if there is an appeal to be lodged, there is a timing. 5 minutes for an intention to appeal to be lodged, and then 15 minutes for the actual appeal. So the chairman needs to be visible. So he needs to be at the line area and not at the targets. When time is nearing the end, take position behind the archer to clearly look for the release fingers and watch for the point of release. And this is not just for the match play or the finals, but also for qualification. If you see, let me just go back to the qualification first. If your time is like 12 seconds or 10 seconds, it depends where you are, how many targets you are handling, then you need to walk. Stand up and walk near, but not right in front of the archer because you're going to distract him. But at a place where you will see the release, the point of release of the archer. And it's the same for the finals. Some are left-handed archers, so most of the time the judge is here on the right side, and you need to go, and this archer is left-handed, you need to go and move. Never mind the camera there, do your job. You need to walk and move to see, then do that, because that's part of your job, and World Archery will not get mad at you. They will get mad at you if you don't move in those cases. Okay, now the target setups. For the recurve, of course, there's only one target face at 70 meters. For the compound team match, again, who is this guy with the money man? You see 2 targets, okay? And if there is a shoot-off in the team, only 1 target face on the target butt. Now, what are the particular rules that we need to keep an eye on? The archers are still in their box behind the 1 meter line until the start shooting signal is given. Remember, in the individuals, as soon as the the beep beep, then the archer can go to the shooting line. This time, the beep beep, they need to wait until the 1 beep. After, then the first archer can come in and do the shot. Okay. Now, there's a time penalty causing the archer moving forward to go back and start in these cases. An archer moves beyond the 1 meter line before the start signal. So you tell him to go back. An archer moves beyond the 1 meter line before the previous archer has crossed the line on his way back from the shooting line. So that, in effect, means 2 feet are in there. Okay? So you need to give a yellow card. Now, an archer removes his arrow from the quiver, and the point of the arrow is showing. So that is another yellow card situation. And then for a compound archer, if the release aid is on the string, they're coming in, that is a yellow card. Okay, and as we said, If you give a yellow card, what does the archer need to do? Go back.
And correct the mistake. Like not just go back with the
Right.
arrow in his hand
Right.
or on string.
Yeah, because he could go back and the arrow is on the bow and then he comes back in. It's the same thing. You give another yellow card. And here's just some funny pictures. They're so excited, you know, very animated in the crossing. I find that, of course, that's what they want to do. But I find that there is enough time. You don't need to do this. It's a little, for me, dangerous. You know, something they might bump into each other. Now, if a time penalty is given, the judge's procedure will be as follows. You raise the yellow card and you call the name of the team loudly and clearly. And if the team doesn't react to the yellow card and shoots the arrow, what do? You raise the red card, and the deduction of the highest score of the team, not just that archer, but the team as a whole, remember they're one, then that highest score is deducted. In case of alternate shooting only, if the archer by mistake shoots 2 arrows in one phase of the rotation, we talked about this a while ago, the team will lose the highest score of the end or the set. The judge will signal the same by showing the red card. And if an archer is not able to shoot their arrow in the first rotation, that archer may leave and throw an arrow beyond the 3-meter line, which will count as an M. Why does that happen? Yeah, because the DOS will only stop the time after 3 arrows. And only 2 arrows have been shot, so the time keeps moving or running, okay? So that their clock will stop, or else they will lose time for the next rotation. I know it looks very harsh, but for now, that is the solution there. The archer who has shot an extra arrow in the first rotation will not shoot in the second rotation to avoid having another problem with 7 arrows. Okay? If an archer cannot shoot their second arrow because time has expired, then the unshot arrow will count as what? Part of the set and will score as a miss. And for compound, there should be 3 arrows in each target. The archers are free to choose any combination of faces, but at the end, each target face needs to have 3 arrows. Okay, so if you look at this, the team shoots more than 3 arrows in one target face. There are 4 here. Okay, and this one only has 2. So according to the multiple arrow in one target error, it applies as well. The one in indoor that we were discussing, so this is the same thing. The highest scoring arrow will become a miss, and then the normal scoring takes place. So let's practice a bit. So if this happens, what should be the score? So 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, and why? Because you remove what? You take care of this first? 10. Okay, you have 6 arrows, that's fine. And you score the rest. And that is what will happen. 10, 10, 9, 8, 7M. And what happens during shoot-offs? In the elimination round, if there is a shoot-off, the teams will have 1 minute or 60 seconds to shoot their 3 arrows. 1 archer at a time, shooting his arrow, and they shoot simultaneously. For the finals round, in the finals round, when the team shoots alternately, each team shoots 1 arrow in alternation. So team A, 1 arrow, team B, 1 arrow, back to A, and team B, A, B. Okay? Now during a shoot-off in the elimination and finals rounds, the team shooting the highest score, of course, wins. And then if both the teams have the same score, then what happens? Okay, the team with the arrow closest to the center wins. If they are still tied, you go to the second arrow. If they're still tied, you go to the third arrow. And if still after measurement of all 3 arrows, Okay.
Did
Declare
that
it.
ever happen?
Yes.
That the
I-
3 arrows with the 3 distance in it.
I heard somewhere a long time ago, but that was really very once upon a time. That is very rare. That really hasn't happened. But the rule is there in case it does happen. Okay? So let's do some practice for compound scoring when you have 2 target faces for the team. So what is the score here? Okay. Okay. So it's a normal thing. Nothing is wrong here. Just to fool you a bit. Maybe you're looking for a mistake. It's okay. So you have to be careful also. Don't find a mistake where there is none. Now the next example. Now, okay, you have 4 arrows in one face and 2 here. What is the score? Okay. So there's the score. So you remove the highest scoring arrow on that target face with 4 arrows. So you have there 998M. And here you have 98. So 99988M. And the total is 43. Okay, next example. So 1 arrow is shot out of sequence. So what's the score? Okay, so you write down the score there and then you deduct the high scoring arrow and make it an M. Okay, next exercise. So you have 4 arrows and then also 1 arrow shot out of time. So what is the score? So what? We take care of, yeah? We take out the high scoring arrow, which is a 10 on that face. Okay, and then 1 arrow shot out of time. And this is there. The 9 is the out of time. You make that an M. And so it's M99988M. See, if you've done the indoor, this is quite easy because there's just 2 here. Okay, looks normal up to now, but then, there. Okay, so there's 4 in one target. There are 7 arrows in 2 targets. 1 arrow shot out of time and 1 arrow shot out of sequence. I don't know where this team is, but they did a lot of mistakes. So what is the score? So what do we take care of first? This target with 4 arrows. Okay, and we remove the highest scoring arrow, which is a 10.
6 low arrow.
And then we have 7 arrows.
Write down the 6 low arrow.
So the 6 lowest. Okay, and then we have 1 arrow shot out of time and 1 arrow shot out of sequence. So how or what is the score now? Okay, but that's not yet finished. Okay. I have some animation here. Okay. See, because you have 2 at the end, out of time and out of sequence. Okay, so the final score is MM988M. Okay, you will have more of that perhaps in the exam. Okay, so judges' duties. This is very important because this is now your procedure. So as you know, in the match plays, we have a line judge and we have a target judge. So there's a lot of things to do if you are a line judge, and I believe there are more things to do if you are a target judge. If you ask me, the target judge is a harder job than the line judge. It's just that the line judge looks better. But it's much easier, believe me. Okay? So as a line judge, before going to the field of play, So you inform them about their target assignment. This is probably in the holding area. And you ask, which one is shooting first? Who do you ask?
Ranking higher.
The one who is ranking higher where? In the qualification round. So this is what normally happens when the line judge and what happens on the line. Okay, so a marshal is going to line you up, and the target judge goes out first, and then coach 1, and then coach 2 following you behind, and you both or you all go out in line to the where? That's not a trick question. That is, you go out to the platform where the shooting line is, okay? So once the archers, and then the archers are lined up, they come out after a few seconds. The one on the farther target, which is normally target 2, and then target 1. So once the archers have entered, so you as the line judge, when you come in with the coaches, so you take the shooting line position at the middle, and you tell the judges to go to their boxes back there, and then you wait for the archers to come in. Of course, some of them are bringing their bow, so they'll put their equipment in their area, and you invite them left and right of you to come to the shooting line for their introduction. And of course, the announcer is going to introduce target 1, archer so-and-so from so-and-so country. So you don't do anything. You don't clap. Please do not clap. You can just acknowledge that they're there. You can diagonally position yourself at an angle favoring that side that's being introduced. When that is done, you can do the other side because the archer here will be introduced. And then you look at the center and you wait for your name to be announced. If you have a cap, you can take your cap off. You can give a small bow. And then, I just have a funny story. In Antalya, I was assigned as a target judge, and of course there were different people on the line, but somehow when the announcer received the assignment, the target judge became the line judge on paper. But the target judge was staring at the target. So the line judge, a man, was being introduced, and the announcer said, "Karla Cabrera." And you should have seen his face on screen. He didn't know what to do. He was about to take off his cap. And it's just a funny story. Okay? So as chairman, please be careful. Because this chairman now is marked for life. He's a very good friend, a very dear friend. So it was really just a funny story. Okay? Okay, so we are here now. So they've introduced, you've gotten introduced, and you tell now the archers to prepare and get ready. So give them a sign to get ready, get their bows. And then, remember, you have 2 arms and 2 hands. Okay? So, of course, you already know who is shooting first. So you give that signal to the team or the individual. Say the country, you are shooting first. And make sure you are making eye contact. You know, sometimes they're talking to their coach and they don't see you right away. You can wait a bit, or you can step forward so that they notice you. And when you establish the eye contact, you are shooting first. Okay? Then you go to the other one. You are shooting second. All right? Notice, I am using both arms. And that's just really because it looks better on camera than doing this and doing this. Okay? Doesn't that look much better? It's sometimes optics. Okay? And it's very much TV today. Okay? And after that, when you've done that, you turn around, and you are now going to give the signal to the DOS who is shooting first. So for example, this team is shooting first, so you do this. Okay, and then for example, DOS is here. Wherever DOS, that's where you turn. For example, he is here. Then you give the start signal. Make sure that the targets are clear. They are ready back here, and then you give that signal. And then if it is individual, you come to the center and then go behind the archer and go to your position. If it is the team, you can walk in front because they are coming 10 seconds later. And it's a lot of space here. There, you will encounter traffic if you go behind. What are you looking at before you? Now now you're back in your. No, you are already in your position, and most of the time it is to the side, and you have a small box. It's not really a box because it's just two-sided. So you're there, and the first thing I look at is the clock. It is set correctly, and if the correct light is blinking of who is shooting first. Okay, and then I look at, because the archers are already there. So that's what I look at. The clock is very important. Then, today you really need to be careful because maybe it's hard to believe, but even in the World Cup, you have some crazy people going in front. Photographers, video camera guy. That happened in Shanghai. It was very scary when I saw the video. Because the guy had his camera here, the targets were here, the archer was here, this is compound, individual shooting, and I think he thought that the end was finished, so he was coming in, and the guy, the archer was at full draw, and he was maybe already 5 seconds into his shot, and I could just see it. If he let go, wow, that example that will not hold anymore, that nobody has died. And now nobody has been shot. So thank goodness, the archer saw, and the judge said, stop. Okay, so now if there has been a red card scenario, you notify the target judge through the radio of what happened so that at the target they can take action. Now, check if scoring on the digital board has been completed. Individual arrow values will disappear and the total score remains. And this is the best time to turn around. Remember, you are now here at the center and they're scoring the arrows at the target. Oh, by the way, you may stand this way, but I prefer that the line judge stands this way, because then he sees the targets and he can check here at the line if the arrows have been given back to the archers as well. So there's more to see, because if you're here, it's kind of hard looking back. So as I said, when the scores drop down, they will disappear, the individual scores. That is the best time to turn around, because by then it is confirmed. The score is confirmed, and now you know which is the lower score or set, and you can now let the archers know who is shooting first or who is shooting second. This is just by experience, the timing and everything. Because sometimes if you do it too early, you're not doing anything here anymore. Okay? Or if you do it too late, then you're rushing. But the best time, and it looks more dramatic, I feel. Again, we are a show. I mean, I don't want to say that, but in a way it is. So it would be nice when those scores drop down, you turn around and you give who is shooting first, who is shooting second, and you do the procedure. Give the signal to the DOS, okay? And then, oh, he's here, sorry. You do this, okay? And then you go to your position. Yeah, that clock is very important. Once you see that it is not working properly, you can get in there and stop the match. Okay? And just don't say stop. get out of your box, go to the line, and stay there looking at the DOS so that the DOS will stop the clock or fix the clock. Okay? It's not enough you stay in your box. Move. You need to move. And then again, if there's a shoot off, the alternation will be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And you need, if this is a team, okay? If it's just this individual, so you tell the archers, we're shooting first, and then you go 1, 1. And then if it's a team, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Mixed team, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay? So you remind them of the sequence. And you do the process. And then this last one, if there is a discrepancy between target judge's signal and scoring system, hold the shoot and clarify the same. Sometimes the target judge gives the signal of who won, but the scores are different. Okay, so just get clarification and hold the archers there to make sure who has won. Okay, because the match might not be finished after all, and they still need to continue shooting. Okay, let's go to the target judges, the duties. Now, before the start of the match, they have to check the faces, the correct setup. The scorecards are there already in the blinds, and you know who starts shooting. Okay? Make sure that both agents are present and the runners are available. Also make sure of the safety behind targets and in that space, including the blinds. Now, during shooting, as the target judge, you call out the arrow values loudly so that the scorer can take them down, making sure, in the blinds, you're still in the blinds, making sure that the arrow values called are entered in the scorecard accordingly. As I mentioned earlier, the target judge calls the arrows, okay, and the scorer writes them down. And the agents are checking if the correct score is being written down on the scorecard. And as a target judge, you're also checking that what you call is being written correctly on the scorecard. When the last arrow of the end or set is left, this is normally, if it's the fifth arrow, in the individual, then you get up, all of you, and the sequence there is the target judge first, the agent whose target is further away, and then you have the scorer, and then the agent who is nearer. Okay? And that is the sequence. And once the beep, beep, beep sounds, then the target judge leads off and goes to the target. And what we do now is that, okay, target judge comes out, and you're there, and here are, for example, the two targets. So, as I said, the script in the blinds, Robert has developed. It has, every time I'm the chairman, we use that. So it has been very helpful. This year it was used in Antalya because I was in the blinds. I was not the deputy, but I said, let's use Robert's script. Oh, you have that? Yeah, I'll WhatsApp. I give you WhatsApp. So there. Oh, I don't know if Robert wants to give it to you. So. Sorry if I put you on the spot. But that script was very organized. It tells the agents what their duty is. It tells them what to do in the blinds and at the targets. Even the sequence and everything. And it's good information. You don't have to repeat it every time because there are agents who come every so often. And for that agent, you don't need to say it again because they've heard it and they know it already. But every time there is a new agent, then you tell them their duties. You can develop your own script, by the way. You are not limited. Okay, that's all I have to say. But I just have to say that that script is very helpful in the blinds. We got a comment in Antalya that the agent was saying, and he was an archer before, he was saying that was the best blinds experience he ever had, because it was so organized. They were told what to do, where to stand, they knew exactly what to do. And so it went very quickly. We had no problems with them. And again, that helps in preventing any problems. Okay, so now let's move to the second part for the target judges. Once the shooting ends for a set and end, move to the targets in the sequence mentioned earlier and call out the arrow values. Now, this is in case there is any doubtful arrow. Most of the time, as it is called, there might be a star. If you're in doubt, so you could say 9 star. And you, as the target judge, you know there's a doubtful arrow. So when you go out there to the target, you know what to check. Okay? So after so follow the procedure with a magnifying glass in calling it. And then after you make your decision, make space, make sure, the agents are not blocking. And if you do have that instructions from the agents, I normally tell them that agents, you stay in the middle, away from the camera so your butts don't get seen on camera. Okay, so they're staying at the middle already anyway, and you're doing your job here. So what do you do with these doubtful arrows? So you come in there, you point at the arrow, and then if it is the higher value, point up. If it is the lower value, point down. Okay? Now there is one case when you do the magnifying thing and you don't need to do this. If it is between the 10 and the x, 10, 10x, you don't need to do that because there's no impact. It doesn't matter. Okay? So here are some photos as an example. So the judge is pointing to the doubtful arrow. Of course, he's already done the magnifying glass procedure, and then he points up for the higher value, giving it the higher value. Oh, this is an example. Of course, you don't do that, up and then down. So what's that? Just one, okay? These are just photos of how you do the up and how you do the down. Okay, now once the shooting ends for a set or an end, and you have to take care of any penalty. So lowest 6 arrows are scored if there are more than 6 arrows present. You also deduct the highest score if a red card communication comes from the line judge. And in the compound team, dealing with more than the required number of arrows in one center. So we did that exercise here. Now, once the scoring procedure is done, place yourself outside the view of the camera, generally beyond the furthest end of the target from the blind. So once everything is done here, they've scored, this has been scored, you've called any doubtful arrows, so you come out the far end, the blinds are over there, so you're here and you are waiting for the agents to mark the holes and then remove the arrows. And actually this is a final, so you have no flip score. You have your scoreboards there. And then you are the last one out. Okay? It's like you're sweeping everybody out. And you can, for example, this target is already clear. You can step forward in the middle while this target is still doing, the agent is still taking care of the arrows here. Okay? That will save time. And then you're the last to go out. All right, and the last one for the final set is shot. Come and signal the results of the match as soon as possible. Again, I'm saying that you don't need to rush. You need to make sure that what you signal is correct. It is now more important accuracy than faster, faster. Okay? Before, yes, and so many mistakes have happened because of that. The wrong signal was given. Anyway, this is a good development. And you can do this. So they've scored, it's written, and you communicate with the scorer. You have teamwork with them, and you verify with them, okay, target 1 is the winner, correct? Who is the winner? You talk to the scorer. And in fact, in the blinds, you are already there. And sometimes for example, the recurve set score, you know already it's 6-2, okay? And the score is a little bit far, so you know already. But you you respect the team or the archers, and you do the procedure. You do the motions. And then as soon as is possible, you give the signal who is the winner. Again, I say be careful, because many times when the judge turns, it's the wrong hand that goes up. Okay, that turning is crucial. If, again, check the targets before the shoot-off, that if in the finals, they really change it. Okay? In the finals, if there is a shoot-off, both target faces are changed. Okay? Now check the score first, and if it's the higher score, then declare that the winner. If it's equal, then which is the nearest to the center? Okay, if that's clear to you, call it. If it's close, do the measure. Once you find out, then call the winner. If you can't find out, if it's a team, go to the second closest. And so on and so forth, third closest. And you know the process. Now, once indicated, again, move to the corner near the blinds and ensure both agents have no issues with the score sheet. Now, the match is finished, and we don't do the checking in the blinds. We do the checking outside. So if these are the two targets, the blinds are there. So they're here at the corner, the agents, the scorer, and the target judge. And everybody is checking. If everything is okay, sign. The judge normally now signs. And after that, when all that is done, they all leave, but you go back up the platform where the targets are. Go to the other far end, where you usually go at the end of the process here. Wait that the target faces have been changed and everything is okay. And they have this thing now, the ringy-dingy, which is before they had the Falco eye. That was a cumbersome equipment. It would go and they have to press. Oz would be there pressing and checking. Now it's just simply, there are two down here, and they're calibrating. You have to be careful not to touch those faces when you don't need to, because the calibration will be off and they need to calibrate again. So you will hear results get mad. If the judge keeps fixing the face, you don't have to touch that face if you don't need to. If you think it looks good that you're checking, they think you're doing your job, you're not doing your job, okay? You're just trying to call attention, and we don't want that, okay? So we go to the position of the judge. The photo on the right, that is an elimination, team elimination, and this is the finals. So at the team elimination, normally the judge is in the middle, in between the two teams, maybe 3 meters, and try not to be in the way of the archers, because that is their space, not yours. Okay? Observe how they move, their rotation, and try to be out of the way. But if you do need to move to C, then move. If you need to move to the side to C, then move. Okay? And here, this is the Tokyo Olympics. Normally, the judge is on one side, and again, if he needs to move, then he should move. Okay? To see the movement of the feet, the arrows, whatever. Okay, now the finals round for individual, here are the positions. So normally the judge position during the shooting is here. And these are the two coaches, the archers on the shooting line. That position has a good field of vision. You can see the targets, and you can see the archers, and you can see the coaches as well. And once the set or the end is finished, the judge walks to the center, takes the center, while the arrows are being scored in between the ends, and he's there, okay? And then if it's the team elimination and finals, for the finals, this is the line judge. But for the eliminations, they're at the center normally, and so they can see both archers or both teams and the targets as well. And from that position, it's easier to see the movement from the 1 meter line and the shooting line and the feet. Okay, and in between ends, that is the finals. That he's up there again at the shooting line. Because in the eliminations, the line judge goes to the target. And here is the positioning at the targets or the blinds during finals. And so they're looking at the targets, and you have the target judge, scorer, the archer's agents, and then if there is space, a runner back here. In the ASEAN Para Games, we had because the blind was so small that only 3 people could fit, so I had another one, an extension, another umbrella connected, so that people would be in the shade, because you must remember this is Southeast Asia and it's very hot, and it's not nice to leave the runners outside without shade. They might have heat stroke and more problems that way. So now they're going to come out to the targets to score from the blinds, and so they're lining up here. You have the target judge, the agent for this target, and scorer and the agent for this target. And they're moving. Okay, target judge stays here and shows them to move to the center. So the 3 of them move here. They are already in position. So less movements there. That's what it looks like while the arrows are being called, and target judge is now checking with the scorer. Everything is okay. And after that, the judge moves to this end. So I showed that to you physically a while ago, but here through a diagram. Okay. Good. So that's it. We will have this in the practical, I believe on Sunday. Thank you very much.